Hello friends, this is Scott, and here's a look at my 3 ways I'm making compost right now, at least actively making myself. I've got the static bin with the cinder blocks, I've got the worm bins, the tires that I screened last video, and I've got my 3-bin compost system where I run my basic yard maintenance material through. And that's the way I'm building fertility, but there's a byproduct that I get out of all 3 of these bins that I want to continue, and that is the creation of redworms, or red wigglers as they call them. And I want those to be the byproduct that's made naturally by actively composting in these 3 different ways. In the static bin, I'm just putting materials in there and letting it sit. The worm bin, I'm actively putting manures and things in there, and emptying it once a year. And this year I used it for my asparagus patch. And then the 3-bin system, as I flip the materials, the worms will continue to live through those materials. Now, why am I raising redworms and I'm not raising earthworms? Well, I want both, and there will be earthworms that are attracted to my compost systems, all 3 of them, but I'm not raising them that way. Earthworms are notoriously hard to raise. They're very temperamental, whereas red wigglers are just, they mass produce. I mean, red wigglers are a leaf litter manure worm, which means they generally live in the top couple inches of organic matter that's sitting on top of the soil, whereas the earthworms are a soil worm strictly, and they come up to feed on this material, and then they drag it down into the ground. Their tunnels create areas or ways for water to get down in the soil, and they take that material and they create their manures down in the soil, and that helps feed the plants at the root structure. So yeah, I want to make sure that I inoculate both or all these bins to create this. Okay, this is strictly manures that I got out of the pasture, pretty much, a little bit of leaves. As you see, there's tons of redworms in here. And again, redworms live generally in the first 1 or 2 inches on top of the soil, and they occur naturally in the environment. So wherever you have manures and leaves, they'll show up. Okay, but like my 3-bin system, where I'm creating a 3 or 4 foot heaping bin, I can create a situation where those worms are living throughout that entire 3 to 4 feet of material, and they're producing, helping produce this great material. And when I screen it, worms fall through the screen into this material, and when I put it out in the soil, right on top of the soil, they stay on top of the soil as long as the other bugs and the chickens have some proteins to eat. So it's a win-win situation. But again, the earthworms will be in this material too, but their environments and their conditions require a lot more work to keep them alive, whereas redworms are pretty, no fuss, no muss. All redworms need is they need a food source. They need some kind of a structure to protect them from predators like chickens. And then they need insulation when the weather gets cold. Earthworms burrow deep into the soil, and so they use the soil heat as their insulation. They come up to the surface to feed, and then they drag those materials through their tunnels down deeper into the soil, and then they add that fertility where it's available for the tree roots and plants and things like that, and the vegetables. So they are both necessary in a garden. But again, I am raising redworms, as I said, because of the ease, and I can produce mass quantities, and they help break up this organic matter because that's where they live all the time. They don't dig into the soil, they live in that material. And by heaping it up, I can get them to live in multiple layers of this material, and I can mass produce it, and they'll help me break down all this material, which then I can lay on top of the soil, and then the earthworms will come up and be able to utilize that material and drag it down into the soil, and again, creating tunnels for water, and again, those nutrients to get down to where the plants actually need them, which is at the root zone. So, yeah, that is why I am raising redworms, and I am trying to attract earthworms. Now, let me show you how I'm attracting earthworms in my garden. I'm coming back out into the pasture, and I'm collecting more of nature's goodness, which is the horse and the cow manures. And I want to kind of show you, kind of what the situation is out here. As you see all that tall grass, that's all where there's been urine and manures. Now, the animals have been through this, and they're actively grazing. We just kind of let them go the whole season. We haven't rotated them. But as you notice, there's lots of tall grass patches where they're not eating. Well, they will not eat where their own manure is. So it's critical that we have these creatures, the beetles and the other bugs and the worms, come up and feed on this material, or again, the cows will not feed in that area where that active manure is. But Willow's with me, as always, in this process too. But yeah, so let me kind of tell you what a cow will provide. A 1,300-pound steer will provide 150 pounds of nitrogen, 50 pounds of phosphorus, and 100 pounds of potassium in a year. That's enough to almost fertilize an entire acre of corn crop. So again, they're very, you get a lot of material out of these, a lot of fertility out of these animals, and it's endless fertility because they, every day they're pooping. Now the horse, on the other hand, if you take a 1,000-pound horse, you're going to get just from the quantities of You're going to get 9 tons of manure a year, 37 pounds of that, the actual feces, 2.4 gallons of urine daily. So, yeah, it's great stuff. Now, there's an earthworm, is when I flipped over a cow patty there. And again, they come up from the subsoil, and they come up and feed on that organic matter, and then they go back down into the ground. So, yeah, they take that fertility, again, back down deep into the soil. And as you see here, it's created a very green pasture situation that has been very healthy and provides very nutritious food. And then I can use all that manures to attract the earthworms to the garden. Again, I'm raising redworms and I'm attracting earthworms, and this is how I'm doing it. I'm putting down cardboard, and I'm just taking wheelbarrow loads of collected manures from the pastures, and I'm just throwing them in different sections of the garden. And I'm going to put manures because I want to add more organic matter quicker. So I won't do it all, but I'll put it in certain sections, and I just won't plant root crops there. I'll plant crops that produce their crop above the ground, and that'll attract the earthworms, and they'll come up in the soil and drag the nutrients down and really improve the health of my soil and my garden. So, and there's a green pasture. As you see, this pasture, I watered it once a week, literally, with more of a soaker type of a sprinkler head, and it stayed green all year. Usually by midsummer, it's just brown, but this year, once a week watering, deep, about an hour in each section, and then all those manures and urine from the animals have kept this area nice and green. And then their byproducts I can use in my gardens and grow food for myself and be healthy myself. So anyway, hope that helps you differentiate what an earthworm is and a redworm is and why I want both of them. But I'm only raising one and attracting the other. Well, thanks for watching.